Welcome, folks, to another edition of Let's Chat with me, Meor Addelan. Influences. What are they? These are the kind of terminologies, new terminologies that has risen up from nowhere within the past 5 to 10 years. Because why? If you were to ask somebody back in the 90s, they would not really have understood what the term influencers are. Are they individuals? What do they do? Do they work for a living? What kind of job do they do? This is something that we want to discuss today, and we specifically are going to be talking about influences, whether they're good or whether they're bad. And with that, to talk about this topic, I do have an influencer herself, so she claims, us to talk about more about this topic. Ladies and gents, allow me to introduce to you Miss Danielle. Hi, how are you, Danielle?
Hi.
Before we even start anything, again, I sometimes have trouble really understanding what the term influencers actually means. So maybe you could enlighten our viewers of what exactly is an influencer.
Great question. I think there are also a lot of misconceptions about influencers, and I think a common term for to refer influencers, social media influencers, whatever you want to call it, KOLs, key opinion leaders. In what I feel key opinion leaders are or influencers are, these are people with like a huge social status, and I believe that, influencers have a superpower, and their superpower is that people respect their opinions, people crave or yearn, or even just like they really just want to know, or they care about their opinions, whether it's something as small as like, don't sleep with the lights on, to like environmental issues, to political issues, whatever it is, fashion, beauty, whatever. People care. People turn to these influencers because they have the ability to create an impact. Yes, in a nutshell, absolutely, that's what it is. I think because of their social status, because of who they are, because people look up to them, because people familiarize with them, because people have a good relationship with them, they are people that matter, and yeah, these are people that they encourage, whether unconsciously or consciously, they encourage the way you think, the way you do things, where you eat, where you do your nails, what you wear, what you say, what you believe in, essentially. Yeah.
Is it, I mean, like, to your opinion, why is this happening? Why are people so wanting to become an influencer, Danielle?
I think it's not, I mean, yeah, it's there is a want to be there, because I feel, well, I say this a lot. I think everyone is an influencer. Whether it's you, it's me, Kim Kardashian, whether you have 2,000 followers, 20 followers, 200, everyone is an influence. Everyone has the ability to influence. It only depends on the level of influence, which equals to the level of, the amount of people that look up to you, the amount of numbers you have, so the more numbers you have, the more influential you are, because you impact way more people than others may. I think also now, given, having the pandemic, or having the whole, whatever the corona situation that's going on right now, everyone is just very digital right now, and everyone has turned to digital and social media platforms as not only a way to escape, but also a way to express themselves. And influencers are people that, audiences, you would say, fall in love with who you are, your personality. So whether you're a 11-year-old or a 20-year-old or a 80-year-old, if you are an influencer, it's because people like you and you're doing something right. You may or may not be the most likable person on the human in the world, but at the end of the day, it's your ability to influence. And, if people that work hard, people that are constantly, online creating content, just up there, they're influencers. Yeah.
Having said that, though, Danielle, I mean, there has been a lot of talks. A lot of people have been giving out their own opinions in saying that, these influencers, they don't really do anything. All they have to do is just look pretty, sitting by the beach, holding a certain kind of product, say some things about it, and then whoop, they'll be making like
Yeah.
thousands of ringgit. Even imagine one day, should social media goes bust, these people will cease to exist. Now, what is your comment on that? Are influencers really nothing but just Barbie dolls and Kens just holding up products and be pretty all the time? Are they just that?
That's a good point, but I think the whole connotation of like influencers do nothing for a living, or influencers just don't need to work for a living, that's a huge misconception of influencers. Because I can tell you for a fact, like based on my experience, that's not my only job. Like some people, the ones that are full-time influencers, full-time KOLs, it's so challenging for them because, unlike people with 9-to-5 jobs, they have stable income. They do what they need to do, and they get a salary at the end of the month, right? With influencers, with social media influencers, with KOLs, it is never stable. They're always working because their company or what they work for is themselves, their brand. They are the brand. There's no such thing as an off day, because you can't say, oh, I'm going to stop being me. I'm going to stop looking for a product to sponsor or a video to do or content to make. It's always a 24/7 job. It's pitch here, pitch there. Oh, okay, company offering me this product to endorse. How much? All these incentives. How do I make my money? How do I feed myself? How do I sustain myself?
Yeah, I just wanted to interject that because again, during the hiatus of the MCO, during the month of March and April and May, when nobody were able to actually go out, these influencers, these KOLs, they suffered so much, isn't it? Because again, they are very much project basis. They get their fees, they get their pay from advertising from the clients, but they can't do anything, isn't it? So they suffer quite a lot.
Yeah. Good point. So, okay, I'm sharing an experience, a real life experience. Like I have a lot of influencer friends who, at that time, they were struggling. Even me, I was struggling when I came back from Australia, which was in March. I was unemployed for 2 months. Unemployed, full-time content creator, trying to pitch this, pitch that. But a lot of companies were like, oh, it's not within our marketing budget. We're not looking at influencers right now, blah, 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 whatever, And I had to work my off extra because it was like, okay, my new job starts in June. So I have all this time to kind of like do this, do that. Yeah. There's so many things. There's so many different social media platforms that these influencers can strive on now. Like there's so many live streams. A lot of YouTubers turn to gaming, streaming live, where they get paid easily. They can make about 800 ringgit a day just for going live for like 2 hours, But that's where I'm saying like it's so much of work, because your time, you have to, being in entertainment, I would say it's one of the toughest industries. And I'm not saying that other industries are walking apart. No, I'm just saying that it's a challenge as well. It's even more challenging because, no matter what you're going through, no matter what struggles you're going through, you literally have to be in front of like, your viewers, and you have to entertain, you have to please. And so, yeah, I can definitely say, as someone who struggled like early MCO, it was a struggle. It was definitely a struggle. But that's where influencers have to kind of like be on the ball, find things, pitch things, look for things, learn from other substantial and successful content creators and influencers to try to like, I can do that. Let's go make a living. Yeah.
There's no denying that there's two types of influencers out there. There's good ones and there's bad ones. So I'm not interested in the good ones. Good ones are always good. Let's talk about the bad ones. Now, these are the guys, these are the influencers who has nothing better to do but just talk smack, just being criticizing of every single thing that's happening, not just to an individual, but to a company or to our nation even. So just wanted to get your opinion on it. Why are they bad then? Why do they turn to social media and become influencers in such a way to influence such negativity?
A great question, and I admire that opinion of yours. But I don't look at someone and say, "Oh, you're a good person, you're a bad person." I don't look at influencers and say, "You're a good influencer, you're a bad influencer." It's just what you stand for. That's your thing, okay. That's your thing, okay. This is my thing, okay, cool. I believe that maybe these influencers are bad because I strongly believe that they don't realize the huge responsibility that they have. You know, just because you have 2 million followers or 20,000 followers or 200,000 followers, you can say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. In fact, because you have a huge following, you should be a little bit more careful and considerate. I'm not here to be social media police and say like, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't wear that, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't do that, blah, 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 whatever. I've been in a position where, you know, I post a certain thing and I mean no harm, but people take offense to it. I'm just expressing myself, right? There's no right way or wrong way to express yourself. But then with great power comes great responsibility. And it's important for influencers to understand that, like, with the millions of followers or the amount of followers that or the ability of influence that you have to be responsible. You have to be considerate to people, that sometimes if you say A, it will offend people. And if you do offend people, it's mature and it should be in a way where you apologize instead of like justifying like, oh, I'm entitled to my opinion. We are. But I think these influencers just are not aware of the huge responsibility they have, especially if they have young followers. Yeah.
You mentioned about responsibility. Apart from, watching what you say, what else can an influencer do to make sure that they are good, in the sense that, they don't abuse their superpowers, as you mentioned multiple times? What can
good question. That's a great question, Meor. Darn. There are a lot of ways where you can kind of, I think at the end of the day, it's important, like for me, and as I grow in this industry, as I grow with my platform, I have to constantly reflect and say, oh, what could I have done better? Or, like with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, everybody was on it. Everybody was posting Black pictures. Everybody was showing that they care. But at the end of the day, a lot of influencers were being taunted and teased because it's like, oh, we have racism here, blah, blah, blah. You're not saying anything about that. I guess at the end of the day, being aware of your responsibility is one thing. Being considerate and empathetic is another thing. But also just being really true to yourself. Like a lot of influencers now, it is tough. So every Tom, Dick, and Harry comes in and you're like, okay, you don't care about whether the product is good or not. You don't care whether the service is good or not. You just want to make a buck. So you're going to say that it's great. Do it, And then, yeah, I think on that level too, like, don't be a sellout. Like, I guess be genuine, be true, don't one day talk about, this is a skincare I use, and then tomorrow, like, this is a skincare that I use, but they're rival brands. You know what I mean? So I guess that's probably one of the ways where I feel like people could be a bit more like aware. Me too. I'm definitely working on it too, because we constantly grow and we constantly learn from what we do and from the people that we look up to. So yeah, just be a bit more, just be true to not only your audience, but to yourself.
Well said. At least we understand a bit more about, the life of an influencer and what are the benefits actually that we can actually come out from this. Danielle, Chong, thank you so much for coming on to this show. Really insightful. Really a pleasure having you on this show. And I wish you all the best and keep on influencing, keep on doing good.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
All right, thank you. All right, guys. So that was Danielle talking about, it's not really an easy job being an influencer. A lot of responsibilities that they carry, because why? They don't just impact their life specifically, but also the life of others. As long as you are true to yourself, you should be fine. That's all, folks, for now. For Let's Chat this edition. Hope to see you again very, very soon. Take care now. Goodbye.